Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm. Wait. Everybody calm down.
Welcome back to Big Red Rant. Mickey Joseph is gone. Our last video, we focused on who's going to be next at the quarterback position for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, the first in Matt Rhule's era. We thought we had it right, but crazy things have happened, and somehow, someway, Dylan Raiola, the #1 incoming high school prospect overall, is now available. Had second thoughts, decided he's not going to go to Ohio State, and shockingly, it seems like the Huskers are first in line. We do have his uncle already on staff. Before we get into the details, tell us what you think in the comments. Do you think that this is really going to happen? Or is it possible Husker fans are getting a little too excited a little too soon? Hit the like button, and as always, make sure you're subscribed. Gary, how real is this? Should I pinch myself?
No, man, I think there's too many unknowns and too much hype right now. I mean, Matt Rhule and them don't help it when they're posting U-turn tweets and the Undertaker popping up and whatnot. But hopefully there's something there, obviously. I don't see what would have changed on our end unless, obviously, if there's something that's changed with the program, he's going to know, between his dad and his uncle. But he never committed to Nebraska when Raiola was already the coach. And then I don't understand why it being so bad, the offensive line being so bad, just because Rhule's here now, which we've all heard and we're seeing like crazy, that Rhule is recruiting his ass off. He's a smooth talker. He's making things happen. Guys that are committing and transferring are higher rated than what we usually get. So, I mean, there could definitely be something there. I'm not saying there's not, but I don't think a lot of people are focusing on, like, Ohio State told him, allegedly, I don't know Ohio State inside and out, but from what I'm seeing, they told him they weren't going to recruit another quarterback. And 4 or 5 days ago, they recruited a kid from South Dakota that was already committed to Washington. He's a 4-star, but it's, 3-4 days after that he decommits from Ohio State, and he took his stuff down on Twitter. I didn't see him posting anything Nebraska wise, whatever. It's just that seems to tie more to me why he decommitted than his uncle getting hired or, being retained. That happened 10, 11 days ago. There was no news from Dylan Raiola. And then a few days after, the South Dakota kid flips from Washington to Ohio State, he decommits. So, I mean, that Lincoln Kienholz is the kid that I'm talking about. So, I mean, obviously everybody's excited and optimistic, and there's plenty of reason to be. But from like more of an outside looking in, if he didn't commit because of his dad and his uncle and the legacy factor of his dad being, kind of a legend here and things like that, the first time, I don't know why he does all of a sudden now. And that type of a player, he's the top overall prospect. You know what I mean? Like, these are guys that you expect to be in talks for Heisman's and first round draft picks and those types of things, especially at that position. I don't see how he has seen over the last year or two, how he comes here and showcases his talent. Now, like I said, if there's these big elaborate dreams and plans and hype going on within the coaching staff, and his dad's been working with helping him to recruit guys and things like that, that they fully 100% believe things are going to be turned around and it is going to be a good situation for him, then yeah. But I just don't understand. Every year, this happens like clockwork every year for Husker fans. No matter how the season ended, we automatically jump to next year's going to be better. We get super excited about every guy we get. We get super big on every coach we get. And even if they're not, people hated the Raiola hire. Now they seem to be perfectly fine with it. People weren't in love with almost any position or coordinator that Rhule has hired. A lot of people didn't like Rhule. And listening to him talk in his press conferences and seeing him, how he interacts with people, and he's on Twitter every day with how hard he's grinding on the recruiting trail and things like that. He's won over most Husker fans in a short amount, in a month. And each week, it's not a big name hire, so people are kind of down on it. And then the same thing, it kind of grows on them. Okay, this guy's going to be good and everything's going to be fine. Like I said, they do it with the players. Everything just optimistic, and then they start playing games and everybody gets crushed. And I'm hoping we get away from that. I just don't know what it is that would give a guy like that the confidence to go, I was committed to Ohio State, but I think I think Nebraska is where I can really make sure I'm a first round pick. You know what I mean? I would still be very surprised if he did come to Nebraska. Obviously, I'm hopeful, just like everybody else, but I don't think it's a done deal by any stretch like a lot of people are putting out there. I see him revisiting some of the other top tier schools.
Any number of things could have happened, though. I don't think it has to be that he decided, oh, you know what? Nebraska's O-line, that'll get me to the NFL sooner. He doesn't have to have insane thoughts. Maybe he found a cute girl in Nebraska. You know, his family's in Nebraska helping recruit. Like you said earlier, they're all hands on deck recruiting. Maybe he's like, yo, maybe this is like a sign. My family is sticking around in Nebraska. I didn't know if my uncle was going to stick there long term because Frost was such a question mark. And now that I do, and there's a little more excitement, I know that Rule could probably get me to the NFL as well. I don't know, there could be other things. I don't think it has to be that all of a sudden he just became a lunatic who thinks that Nebraska is going to get him to the pros quicker than Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, there's hot girls all over the place, man. And there's established programs that are cranking out NFL talent, and they're not wasting highly ranked recruits. Nebraska's done that quite a bit. I mean, you look at this past year, 3 quarterbacks were hurt by the end of the year. 2 of them required offseason surgery, pretty much exclusively because of the offensive line. Adrian Martinez came in with a lot of hype, flipped him from Tennessee to here. I thought looked worse each year progressively. And it was mainly offensive line play that did it to him. He went to Kansas State and looked great in those, beginning of the season when he was playing. So, I mean, I don't know. To me, cute girls or where the family hangs out at or where Uncle Donnie works or whatever else, that's all good for like fans to cling to and have a lot of hope. But when you're ranked like that and you're that sought after and you have that kind of talent at that young of an age, you have to be looking, and your dad, who had such a long NFL career, has to be looking out for you and going, you do what you want, but here's what you need to really look at and focus on. Who's going to showcase your talent the best? Where are you going to be able to play because you're not constantly dealing with injuries? Where are you going to be able to show that you can read and break down defenses and be accurate hitting guys and knowing all the routes that an offense is running because you're not having to run for your life every play and just do everything with your legs? You know what I'm saying? So, and that wears on guys, man. You see over the years how quarterbacks at Nebraska have regressed because you stand in the pocket or the pocket collapses on you or things happen a couple times, especially through a game. You're a tough quarterback. You stick in there and you make it work. But when it's every game for every season, you start getting real gun shy. It changes your whole dynamic. During you going through your reads, you got to constantly be checking off the sides to see who's coming at you, how much time you do or don't have. There's just a lot of you can start yourself off on a lot better foot going to an established program. And I'm not saying I don't want him to go or I want him to like really go somewhere else and do that. I'd love for the dude to come here. I just don't know that it's very logical to think, hey, this kid, because his last name's the same as a guy who played here and a guy who's coaching here, is going to potentially waste his talent, roll the dice that, yeah, things are probably going to get better, but have nothing to look back on and go, oh yeah, clearly things are going to get better. I think we all think that they're going to get better. We all think that Rule's a better coach than Frost or whoever else, but he would be walking in to a complete rebuild or, a year into a rebuild, as opposed to going to a school like Ohio State. I think he picked Ohio State for a reason. I don't think he just went, just give me Ohio State and then we'll kind of play things out by ear. I think he wants to be at an elite program currently. I think he got pissed off because they told him he wasn't, which that's another thing you could bring up. Do you want a guy who's either, I don't know nothing about the kid, I'm not trying to blame anything on him, but I'm saying, is he afraid of competition? Is he that arrogant? How dare you bring in another, whatever it may be. But I think he got pissed off because they told him, maybe just because he felt that they lied to him. But I think he got pissed off because they told him they weren't going to get another quarterback. They flipped this Lincoln kid from Washington to Ohio State. A couple days later, he leaves. I don't think it has very much to do with his uncle being held on staff or his dad helping to recruit or do whatever else. I could be wrong. There's going to be a whole season to see how things are going on the uptick. And maybe those things are things that will help get him here. But I definitely don't buy into all the Twitter hype that it's basically a done deal and he left because he's coming here.
All right, then just live for a moment with me in Kool-Aidsville.
Kool-Aid country?
Yeah. What would it mean for the Nebraska Cornhuskers to get this kid?
I think it would be, let me think how to put this into words. I think it would mean that we are either going to get back to where Husker fans want to be quicker than later, or never happen again. Because again, going back on my belief of why he would pick a school, if he comes here, not only are you taking the top guy, and like, I'm not going to go down the whole thing that I go on about ratings and rankings of high school kids that are playing against other high school kids that'll never play another snap after they're done with high school. But to get a guy of that caliber, a recruit of that caliber, you're going to get other guys coming with that. You're already seeing the uptick in recruits and transfer portal guys that we're getting, that Rhule's getting, that previous regimes haven't been able to pull in talent-wise. So at least talent rating-wise, I think that would go up even more. I think that gives you more recruiting power and transfer portal power when you're trying to get guys. We have a huge NIL situation that's already in our benefit. I think it would be the pivotal point in the program as far as putting these past 20 years behind us and legit building forward and moving forward to where we start having talent that is more competitive with the higher ranks, not trying to compete with Minnesota and Iowa and teams like that to be fair, beat our asses the last few years. But I mean, now all of a sudden you're jumping up to where, okay, now you're competing with Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan. You're not a bottom dweller anymore, or you're now moving in that direction where you're not going to be a bottom dweller in the Big Ten. And you got USC and UCLA coming in. Having a guy like that and the things that he brings with and the kind of respect that it puts on Nebraska's name for recruiting. We talk and hear all the time about these kids that are getting recruited now, and for the last however many years, they don't remember Nebraska ever being a powerhouse. They weren't born yet. So this now all of a sudden, like, oh shit, these guys, these higher recruit guys are going there. These people are switching and going there. And then obviously you got to do something with the talent once you get it. But I think Rhule is the guy that can do that. I think that it would be just astronomically big. Even if the dude didn't come here and tear it up and win a title and go in the first round or whatever, I think it would start the ball rolling and kind of cause a snowball effect of the kind of talent we would get over the course of him being here for Rhule to have to build on.
Tell us what you think in the comments below. Do we have our quarterback of the future, or is this all too good to be true? Until next time, go Big Red.